The fire was dying. Just a few red coals cracked inside the ring of stones. Around it, 6 kids huddled in sleeping bags and flannel blankets, shadows stretching like black fingers into the trees. The pine stood tall and close, as if listening. As if leaning in. Logan, the oldest, held a stick and poked the coals, his face lit orange from below. "Y'all hear the story of that last camper?" he asked, voice low. "The one who disappeared up here 5 summers ago?" Maya groaned. "Please, no more stories." But it was too late. Logan was already telling it. They called him Darren Knox. College sophomore. Came up here alone, some soul-searching trip after a breakup or whatever. Had a tent, food, everything. But no one ever saw him leave. Branches creaked softly above. A breeze curled around their ankles. They found his campsite 2 weeks later. Everything perfectly in place, his pack, his food, his tent. Except for the fire ring. That was cold. Completely cold. Not like it went out. Like it had never been lit. No one spoke. Logan smiled faintly. You know what the creepiest part was? They found a single footprint in the ashes. Barefoot. Human. But facing the fire. "You mean like someone stood in it?" whispered Cammy. "Exactly." The wind rose. Something shifted in the trees, a soft shuffling, like dragging feet. Logan turned. "Probably a raccoon," he said, a little too quick. They fell into silence, but sleep didn't come easy. One by one, the kids dozed off, the fire dying into a dull red pulse. Except for Maya. She sat up hours later, throat dry, stars overhead. Something had woken her. A smell. Burnt hair. Then, a soft sound, crunch, crunch, crunch. Someone, or something, was walking through the ash ring. She turned her head slowly, barely breathing. There, standing in the cold fire pit, was a figure. Tall. Barefoot. Still. Its face was dark, unlit, but something dripped from its fingers. Maya couldn't scream. Couldn't move. Only lie back down, eyes open, pretending to sleep. Pretending she hadn't seen the fireless ghost of Darren Knox, watching. Waiting for someone else to vanish. The old van sputtered up the gravel path, its engine protesting every twist and bump in the winding road. Pine trees stretched high on either side, thick and ancient, their boughs leaning in like they were sharing secrets too old for humans to understand. "You're gonna blow the axle if you don't slow down," Logan muttered from the passenger seat, glancing at his twin sister, Maya. "Relax. We're almost there," she replied, brushing a loose curl behind her ear, her focus locked on the narrow forest trail ahead. The sun was starting to dip behind the ridge, bleeding orange light through the branches. In the back, Cammy, Theo, Harper, and Jay were wedged together with backpacks, sleeping bags, and a cooler full of cheap snacks. Cammy looked up from her phone with a frown. "No signal." "Like, 0 bars. This place is ancient." "That's the whole point," Theo said, grinning as he popped open a root beer. "Unplug. Get away from the world. No Wi-Fi, no drama." Harper leaned over and whispered, "Just no serial killers, please." They all laughed. "Kind of." They arrived just past 7, the campsite marked only by a weathered wooden sign that read, "Raven Rock Ridge, no services. Camp at own risk." Logan hopped out first, stretching his arms and scanning the tree line. "Man, this is perfect. Look at that clearing, and the lake's just past those trees." The group set to work unloading. Tents went up. A ring of stones for the fire was reinforced with sticks and dirt. Harper found a spot between 2 pines to string up the trash bags. They joked. They argued. They played music from a half-dead Bluetooth speaker. By the time darkness crept in, they were all sitting around the newly lit fire. The crackling flame cast long shadows on their faces and sent sparks dancing up into the night sky. The stars were brighter than any of them had seen back home. Jay threw another log on the fire and leaned back. "So," he said, glancing at Logan. "Who's gonna tell the first scary story?" Logan smiled, slow and smug. "I've got just the one." Harper groaned. "No, no way. Not your vanished camper story again." "Come on," Logan said. "They haven't heard it. It's tradition." Maya, watching the fire, said quietly, "Fine. But tell it right this time." Logan nodded and poked the fire with a stick, sending up a flurry of sparks. "You all ever heard of Darren Knox?" he began. The forest hushed around them, like it, too, was listening. Logan's face glowed in the firelight as he leaned in, lowering his voice just enough to make everyone else lean forward too. He was 19. Just broke up with his girlfriend and wanted some time alone. So he packed a tent, a fishing pole, a book of poetry, seriously, and hiked out here. No car. Just walked in from the ranger station like some loner philosopher. Theo chuckled. "Sounds like a loser." Logan ignored him. Anyway, he picked a spot somewhere along the ridge and set up camp. They say he stayed 2, maybe 3 nights. But then, poof. Nothing. No calls. No messages. Just gone. The wind passed through the pines then, a slow moan that rustled through the needles. Jay spoke up. "Wait, like, completely gone?" Logan nodded. Search party came up. Dogs. Helicopters. The whole deal. And they found the site, right? Backpack, still zipped. Tent, untouched. Cooler, full. Even his phone, sitting on a folded towel like he meant to grab it in a second. Cammy hugged her knees. "What about tracks? Signs he hiked out?" "That's the creepy part," Logan said. "The only tracks they found were in the fire ring. Which was cold. Dead cold. Like it hadn't been used at all. And right in the middle of the ash was a single footprint." "Boot?" Maya asked softly. "Nope." Logan paused, letting the silence drag. "Barefoot. Human. Right foot. And not burned, like the ash had been pushed down under it. No smudging. No other tracks. Just, like someone had stepped into the middle of a dead fire, then vanished." Harper shivered. "That's not possible." "I'm just telling you what the ranger said." "Which ranger?" Theo asked. "You always leave that out." Logan hesitated. "Guy named Carson. Retired now. Used to tell the story at orientation for forest volunteers. Like a warning or something." Jay snorted. "Bet it's all made up." "Maybe," Logan admitted, tossing a twig into the flames. "But they never found Darren's body. Never found his boots, his clothes, his pack. Not even a sock. Just his name on a missing persons report. And one footprint in a place where no one walks barefoot." The fire popped loudly. Everyone jumped. For a few moments, no one spoke. Then Maya cleared her throat. "It's just a story," she said. "Right?" They all nodded, some more convincingly than others. But no one brought up the fire again that night. And when they finally went to bed, each one checked the ring of ash around the fire pit, just to make sure. Just to be safe. Night fell hard in Raven Rock. The stars were bright, too bright, and the moon hung low over the treetops like a watching eye. Most of the group had turned in. The fire had burned low, leaving only a glowing bed of embers in the ring. Theo and Jay were the last to settle in, murmuring about girls from school and swigging from a flask Jay smuggled in his sleeping bag. "Dude," Theo whispered, his words slurred slightly, "what if that Darren guy was high and just wandered off?" Jay snorted. "Sure. Into another dimension." They laughed, too loud, and then paused when something snapped in the woods behind them. A single, crisp crack of a branch. Jay turned his head, holding his breath. That a deer? Theo stared into the black beyond the trees. It sounded close. Jay waved it off and stood, wobbling a bit. I'm peeing and going to bed. If I don't come back in 5 minutes, tell my mom I died drunk and brave. He disappeared around the tree line. Theo sat alone by the coals, staring into the fire. A wind brushed his back and made him turn sharply. Nothing. Just trees. Still and silent. Then came the sound. Faint. Like breath. But not his. A slow, steady inhaling sound, HHHRRRHH, followed by a long, soft exhale. It came from somewhere behind him. He stood up. Jay? Silence. He took a cautious step toward the trees. The firelight barely reached past the first row of trunks. The darkness beyond felt thick, alive. Jay, quit screwing around. Another sound. Closer. A footstep. A bare footstep. Crunching soft pine needles. Theo's mouth went dry. He turned fast, heart pounding. Jay? From the edge of the forest, a figure emerged, tall, with shoulders too narrow and arms too long. He could barely make it out in the dark, but something dripped from one of its hands, black and thick. Then it stepped backward, into the woods, melting into shadow like it had never been there at all. Theo ran. He burst into his tent and zipped it shut in one motion. Nope. Nope. Nope, he breathed, curling into his bag. Just drunk. Just your brain, man. But he didn't sleep. Not even when Jay returned 5 minutes later and mumbled, "Yo, you good?" through the tent flap. Theo didn't answer. Because Jay's voice had come from the opposite direction. Morning came cold and early. The sky was a flat gray, and dew clung to every surface, the tents, the cooler, the twisted pine needles underfoot. Birds sang, but even their melodies sounded muted, distant, like they were echoing through fog. Maya unzipped her tent and blinked into the soft light. Harper was already up, crouched by the fire pit, trying to restart the flames. She looked pale. Morning, Maya said, rubbing her arms. You sleep? Harper shook her head. Didn't really feel like sleep was an option. Maya frowned. Bad dreams? No, Harper replied. Just sounds. Like someone walking around. I thought it was Theo, but when I called out, nobody answered. At that, Theo stepped out of his tent, eyes shadowed with exhaustion. I heard it too. Something, or someone, moved between the tents. Around 3, maybe 4 in the morning. Jay came out next, yawning, clearly unaffected. Y'all are paranoid. It was probably a raccoon. Or wind. Wind doesn't breathe, Theo snapped. And it doesn't walk. Cammy joined them last. Can we not talk about it? I swear I already feel like I'm being watched out here. They gathered around the fire once it finally caught, sipping instant coffee and chewing granola bars in stiff silence. Then Maya noticed it. Where's Logan? They all turned. His tent was zipped shut. I thought he got up before me, Theo muttered, approaching the tent. He tapped it. Yo, man, wake up. No response. He unzipped it, and froze. The tent was empty. No sleeping bag. No clothes. No gear. Just the imprint of where his bag had once been. Like someone had lifted it all out in a single motion. What the hell, Maya whispered. He was here last night. I heard him, Harper said. He was still by the fire after you went to bed. Jay held his hands up. Maybe he went to the lake? With all his stuff? Maya said sharply. Without telling anyone? That was when they noticed something odd in the ashes of the fire pit. A footprint. Deep. Barefoot. Right foot only. Pressed into the cold ash from the night before. Cammy stumbled back. No. That wasn't there earlier. Jay knelt beside it. It's not burned. That means it wasn't made while the fire was hot. Theo whispered, it's just like the story. Harper slowly looked around the clearing. Guys. I think Logan's gone. They called his name. Searched the trail to the lake. Checked every tree, rock, and crevice. No signs. No gear. No footprints. Just that single bare print in the ashes. And Maya, standing by the trees, swore she saw smoke curling where there was no fire. And within it, the faint outline of a man. Watching. By noon, Logan was still missing. The sun filtered through the pine canopy in fractured rays, but the warmth felt artificial, thin and distant. The group gathered at the center of the camp, surrounded by the now empty tents and a cold, untouched fire pit. Maybe he did go to the lake, Jay said for the third time, pacing in a slow circle. Took a swim, then hiked somewhere. Or he got fed up and walked out. Without telling anyone? Cammy snapped. Without leaving a note? His phone is still here. His water. His boots. He wouldn't leave me, Maya said quietly, kneeling in front of Logan's tent. She had been holding his journal, something he always kept zipped into the inside pocket of his bag. Now it sat alone in the grass, half buried in a pine needle drift. Guys, Harper was staring into the woods. Should we go get help? Theo looked up from where he sat on a log, hunched over. We'd need to hike all the way back to the ranger station. That's, like, 4 hours. Cammy hugged her arms. Then we go in pairs. Right now. No, Maya said. Her voice didn't shake. We don't split up. Everyone turned to her. We wait one more night, she said. If he's not back by morning, we hike out together. Jay rubbed his face. So we're just supposed to sit here? Pretend he didn't vanish into thin air? Nobody had an answer. Eventually, people drifted into their own activities, distracting themselves with food, cleaning gear, quiet card games. But Maya, she wandered. She followed the thin animal trail beyond the campsite, just far enough that the voices and sounds behind her faded. The forest had a hum to it, a living heartbeat pulsing just under the bark and roots. And then she heard it. A whisper. Faint and distant. Maya. She turned. Nothing there. Only still trees and sun patches on the mossy ground. Her breath caught in her throat. Hello? Silence. Then the whisper came again, closer this time. Maya, come see. Her feet moved almost on their own, crunching softly through the forest floor. Something was calling her forward. Not out loud. Not exactly. But through a pressure in the air. Through the trees themselves. And then she saw it. A massive pine, its trunk hollowed by time and rot. Inside the hollow, black soot clung to the walls. Like something had once burned deep within. On the bark, scratched in jagged spirals, were symbols. And words. She traced one with her fingers, heart thudding. One enters. One fades. Ash for ash. And below that, smeared in what looked disturbingly like dried blood. Logan. Then behind her, a twig snapped. Maya spun around, eyes wide. But no one was there. No animal. No friend. Only the empty forest. And the whisper of her name, drifting from the blackened tree trunk like smoke. Ashes in the pines. Part 6, a voice that isn't his. Maya backed away from the hollow tree, heart pounding so loud she could barely hear the forest anymore. The wind hissed softly through the branches, like it was trying to hush her. She didn't look back. She ran. Brush slapped at her shins as she moved fast through the tight corridor of pines, snapping twigs and dry ferns underfoot. The trail back to camp felt longer. Thicker. Like the forest had changed around her in the short time she was gone. When she finally stumbled back into the clearing, she found the others sitting near the fire ring, silent, tense, as if they'd been waiting for something. "Where were you?" Harper asked, voice sharp with anxiety. I found a tree," Maya gasped, clutching her side. "Burned inside. And my brother's name. It was scratched into the bark." Cammy blinked. "Wait, what?" "There were symbols too. Weird ones. And a phrase, something like ash for ash. I'm not making it up." Jay stood up. "Okay. You're freaking out. Let's all calm down." "I heard him," Maya said. "I heard Logan's voice out there." That made Theo freeze. "You heard Logan?" She nodded. "It said my name. Like he was calling me from behind a tree. But it didn't sound right. It was off." "What do you mean?" Harper asked. "Like an echo?" Maya looked at them one by one. "Like it was wearing his voice." A long silence fell over the group. Theo finally said, "We need to leave. Tonight." "But the light's already fading," Harper said. "We'll get lost in the dark." "Better than this," he muttered. "Something's not right out here." Jay stepped between them. "Everyone chill. No one's dying." Cammy, trembling, whispered, "Logan might be." That silenced him. They all turned as the wind shifted again, cooler now. And from the trees behind Maya, a sound rose. A voice. Low, broken, but unmistakable. "Maya." Her blood turned to ice. Theo backed up. "Was that?" "Maya, help me." They turned toward the source, just beyond the trees at the far edge of camp. The voice echoed again, drawing closer. Maya stood still. The voice was exactly right. It sounded like Logan. But her heart said it wasn't him. Then, from the shadows, something moved. A figure. Tall. Limping. Just enough to be human. "Logan?" Cammy breathed. The figure stepped into a shaft of moonlight. It wasn't Logan. It wore his shape. His face, but only barely. The eyes were wrong. Too wide. Too still. The mouth hung slack, as if trying to remember how to smile. Maya stumbled back, whispering, "That's not him." The figure took another step forward. "Maya, don't be scared." And in the flicker of the dying firelight, the group saw what was in its hand. A boot. Logan's boot. The figure stopped at the tree line. It stood still, far too still for someone alive. No breath, no blinking. It was like watching a mannequin trying to pose as human, wrapped in Logan's features like a stretched, ill-fitting mask. Theo was the first to break. He grabbed Maya's arm. "Inside the tent. Now." "No," Maya said, pulling her arm free, her eyes never leaving the thing. "If we move, it might follow." "Might?" Cammy whispered, backing away. "You think it hasn't been?" The wind pushed through the pines again, and with it came a scent. Sharp. Metallic. Decay. The thing's head twitched. Like it heard something no one else could. And then, it smiled. Its teeth were too white. Too perfect. Like someone had put them there. Then it opened its mouth. Not to speak, to scream. The sound that came out wasn't Logan's voice. Not even close. It was like 1,000 whispers scraped across stone, like wind howling through dry bone, echoing and unnatural. The group collapsed into chaos. Cammy screamed and bolted toward her tent. Jay froze, hands trembling, eyes locked on the thing. Harper dragged Theo back by the sleeve, toward the fire. But Maya stood rooted. She wasn't afraid. She was angry. "What are you?" she demanded. The thing stopped smiling. Its head tilted at an impossible angle. And then it took one slow step forward. That broke the spell. Jay lunged, grabbing Maya by the waist and hauling her back. Move. They scrambled away from the fire ring. As they did, the thing bent down to the coals and stepped into them. Like the heat meant nothing. Its bare foot pressed into the ash, just like the footprint they had found. Ash didn't rise around it. The embers didn't spark. The fire died instantly. It just stood there, becoming part of the cold. Harper sobbed, whispering, "That's what happened to Logan. That's what it does. It wears them." Theo, huddled against the base of a pine tree, gritted his teeth. "It doesn't like fire. Did you see? It waited for the flames to go out." Jay pulled open the tent flap and shoved Cammy inside, then yelled to the others, "Everyone in one tent. Don't split up." They scrambled in. Zipped it shut. Sat in the dark. Their breaths were loud. Quick. Shaky. Then came the crunching. Footsteps. Circling them. Bare feet. Slowly dragging around the tent. Crunch. Crunch. Stop. A pause. Then a voice. "Harper." Harper's eyes widened. "Theo, come out." "It's me." Each name, spoken in Logan's voice. Too calm. Too knowing. Then, silence. Long, endless silence. Maya whispered, "Don't respond. It wants you to answer." Harper was crying now, quietly. "I don't think it needs us to. I think it's alright." The tent was suffocating. 6 people crammed into one shelter, huddled together in silence as the creature, or whatever it was, circled the camp just beyond the thin nylon wall. Each footstep felt heavier, more deliberate. It wasn't just walking. It was listening. Studying. Every few minutes, it stopped near the entrance flap. The footsteps would fall quiet. A low breath would stretch through the silence like wind squeezing through old wood. Then, "Jay." The voice didn't whisper this time. It cooed. Gentle. Inviting. Jay shut his eyes and bit his lip until it bled. "Come see, Jay. I found Logan. He's waiting." Harper started rocking in place. Maya squeezed her hand. "Don't listen. It lies." Suddenly, a zipper on one of the other tents shrieked open. They all froze. "Is it going into one?" Cammy whispered. No one dared move. A few seconds later, a soft chirrup, like canvas being torn, ripped through the night. Then another voice. "Cammy." Cammy's hand shot up over her ears. "No. No. No," she whispered. "It sounds like my mom." "That's not fair." Maya turned to her. "What?" Cammy's lips trembled. "I swear, that's my mom's voice. She used to say my name like that when I had nightmares." Everyone stared at her, horrified. It can sound like anyone, Maya realized. Not just Logan. Anyone it thinks will pull you out. Theo's eyes darted around. "We're not dealing with a bear. This is something else. It knows us. Watches us." Harper buried her head against her knees. "It's not just watching. It's choosing." Silence. Then, another scratch across the tent fabric. This time, not at the door, but near the bottom. It dragged along the edge, circling them like it was tracing their outlines. Maya held her breath. "It's mapping us." Theo whispered, "Why?" And from just outside the tent, the thing answered. "So I know who to wear next." Cammy screamed. Jay reached over, slapping a hand over her mouth. The tent shuddered as someone, or something, pressed against the side. They could see the shape now. A tall figure, taller than Logan ever was, with limbs too long and thin. Its hand left an oily imprint on the tent fabric, smeared with ash or blood, or both. Then, nothing. The shape pulled away. The steps faded. Gone. Harper said, maybe it's finished. But Maya didn't move. Didn't breathe. Because behind her, near the back of the tent, she saw a new handprint. Fresh. Wet. Still dripping. And it wasn't on the outside of the tent. It was on the inside. The handprint was black. Sticky. Fresh. 5 long fingers, smeared down the inside of the tent wall like someone, or something, had pressed it there moments ago. Maya's mouth went dry. She stared, trying not to blink. Nobody touched that side, she whispered. I was sitting in front of it the whole time. Harper turned pale. So, how did it get in? Theo stood up fast, too fast, and knocked over the lantern. Everyone jumped. Okay, this is insane. Jay grabbed his arm. What are you doing? I'm checking everyone, Theo said, breathless. Something's wrong. One of us, someone in here might not be. Don't finish that sentence, Cammy said sharply. Her voice cracked. But Maya was already thinking it. The creature had disappeared from outside. But if it didn't leave, if it got in, then someone in the tent wasn't who they were supposed to be. Maya whispered, everyone say who you came in with. Where you were when Logan told the story. Theo scoffed. That's stupid. Then say it, she said. If you're real, say it. Theo looked at her, jaw clenched. Fine. I was sitting across from him. He was poking the fire with a stick. Jay was next to me, drinking root beer. Cammy kept checking her phone. They turned to Cammy. She nodded quickly. Yeah. And Logan said Darren brought a book of poetry. I thought it was weird. Harper? Maya asked. I remember Jay saying no one's dying, Harper said, shaking. That was right before the scream. And Theo said he was drunk and brave when he went to pee. Jay looked around, stunned. That's all right. That's true. They turned to Maya. She nodded. I was the one who asked about the footprint. I said barefoot or boot. Logan looked right at me. Everyone looked at each other. And then Jay said, slowly, wait, who did you come in with, Maya? She blinked. What? When we ran for the tent, he said, voice tight. I pulled you back. You were just staring at it. You didn't move until I touched you. And when I opened the flap, you weren't behind me. Cammy's head turned sharply. I saw Maya come in last, Harper whispered. I remember. The flap closed behind her. Maya felt her stomach drop. No, I was already inside. Jay stepped back. Then who closed the flap? The silence was crushing. Theo said, someone answer him. No one did. Because none of them remembered closing the tent flap. And no one had looked behind them when they entered. Jay's voice cracked. We brought it in with us. A low creaking sound echoed outside, like a tree groaning under weight. But it wasn't wind. It was intentional. Something shifted in the shadows again, brushing the outside of the tent with long, dragging fingers. Maya whispered, if it's in here, it's hiding in someone. Harper backed into the corner, clutching her sides. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Cammy whispered, we should have left yesterday. From the far corner of the tent, a voice said, softly. We still can. They turned. Theo's face had changed. He smiled, calm. Unblinking. Wrong. Let's go now, he said gently. No more waiting. I'll lead the way. Jay lunged for the zipper, but it was already moving. On its own. The zipper moved. Not fast. Not violently. It slid down in a slow, steady hiss, like it had all the time in the world. The flap opened to the night. Beyond the tent was nothing but black trees and thicker darkness. Theo, not Theo, turned to the others with that same too-wide smile. Let's go. The trail's clear now. I'll show you. Maya pushed herself to her feet, legs trembling. You're not him. I am, he said gently. I remember our 8th birthday. I remember when Dad left. I remember when you broke your arm trying to jump off the shed. Maya's lip quivered. No. Theo didn't say any of that. Logan did. The smile twitched. Then split, just slightly, at the corners of his mouth, tearing farther than it should have. The skin strained. Peeled. Like cloth coming apart at the seams. And inside, something shifted. Pale and wet. Theo, not Theo, turned and walked out of the tent without. Jay grabbed Maya. We need to run. Now. The others didn't need convincing. They burst from the tent into the frigid night, boots pounding on soil and pine needles, breath misting in the cold. They ran in the direction of the trail, but it was gone. The trees were tighter now. New ones where there weren't any yesterday. Branches reached like arms. Shadows pulsed with life. No, 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 Harper said between gasps. The trail was right here. Cammy pointed. There. The ridge. I see the ridge. They ran toward it. The forest seemed to ripple around them, shifting as if reshaping the land with each step. Roots tried to grab their ankles. A low humming started to rise. Then, just ahead, firelight. A faint orange flicker behind the trees. They pushed through and stumbled into a clearing. And stopped. It was their campsite. But empty. The tents were collapsed. Ashes cold in the fire pit. Everything was covered in a thin gray dust, ash. Like they'd been gone for years. Cammy dropped to her knees. No. This can't be. Jay walked in circles, hands on his head. This is impossible. We ran in a straight line. Maya stepped to the fire pit. A new footprint had formed in the center of the ash. Barefoot. Right foot. Pressed deep. Suddenly, a breeze rose, sharp and whispering. The tree swayed and spoke. You cannot leave. The voice came from everywhere. You brought the fire, now feed it. Harper collapsed, sobbing. We're dead. We're dead. It's already got us. No, Maya said softly, staring at the footprint. It hasn't finished yet. From the trees came footsteps. A figure emerged, dragging something. It was Logan. Or what was left of him. His body slumped, limbs too loose, like a puppet with cut strings. His face was slack, mouth open in a silent scream. Behind him walked the thing. Tall. Barefoot. Wearing Theo's shape now, but flickering. Its face changed with each step. Jay's. Harper's. Maya's. It was choosing. One by one. Run, Maya whispered. No, said the voice, her voice, from the thing. Stay. You belong here now. Then the fire pit ignited. No one lit it. Flames roared from the ash as if hell had opened beneath it. Smoke poured into the sky, and the thing screamed, not with pain, but with hunger. Cammy, trembling, grabbed Maya's hand. If we're going to die, let's not do it running. Maya looked at her friends. What was left of them? And then she made a choice. She stepped into the fire pit. The flames parted around her feet like water. The smoke clung to her skin. She closed her eyes and whispered, ash for ash. And suddenly, everything changed. The light blinked out. She opened her eyes to daylight. The trees were still. The wind was gone. She stood in the empty clearing. Alone. No tents. No ash. No Logan. No friends. Just the hollow pine behind her, and the echo of a whisper. One enters. One fades. She looked down. Her own bare foot, in the center of the fire ring. A month later, 2 hikers wandered up Raven Rock Ridge. They found a campsite that looked untouched. Fire ring cold. Trees whispering quietly. One of them stepped closer. "Check it out," he said. "There's a footprint in the ash." His friend laughed. "Weird." And behind them, the forest smiled.